Hi, welcome to Paranormal Kativity. Tonight I want to talk about divination. Divination is the art of foretelling the future, and it gets its name from meaning it's a gift from the divine, therefore divination. Now, a lot of times, different forms of divination people do naturally in like their everyday lives, and they don't really think of it as anything more than what they're doing at the time. Some of those things could be seeing signs. If you're someone who sees signs and things, that could be a form of divination because you're getting information about something that you wouldn't otherwise have. You could also have dreams that you wonder, hey, I wonder what this means. And if you go in and interpret your dreams, either through like a dream interpretation book or going purely off of your intuition and what you think it means, sometimes things like ESP, which is extrasensory perception, are even interpreted as a form of divination. There are actually things called Zener cards that help you test your extrasensory perception. So if you wanted to kind of test your abilities and see how those work, I don't have any cards of my own. I want them so bad, but you've probably seen them around. It's 5 different cards. I believe there's 25 total, and there's a star, 3 wavy lines, a cross, a circle, and a square. Hold it up, feel what it is, but don't look at it. And then after you decide what it is, you flip it over and you go, oh, okay, I got it right, awesome. And then if you end up with more right than wrong, you may have a heightened form of ESP. Then there are lots of divination tools that you can use to test your abilities, to divine knowledge of different things. A lot of them get bad raps, but there really is nothing harmful about them. They're all really cool and interesting things to have, and I own quite a few of them, so I'm going to show you some of those now. One of the most popular forms of divination is card reading. There are all types of tarot cards. These are the Rider-Waite deck. It's one of the oldest forms of tarot cards, and one that a lot of people are very familiar with. I went out and bought these just because I thought they were cute at a shop not too long ago. So I mean, I have a couple other decks that I've used before in the past. It really just depends on what you like to do. There are lots of books that you can get in order to assist you in reading tarot cards, but a lot of people just purely go off of their intuition. So they would just pull a card out, boom, the sun. And then you see this, happy baby riding a horse under the sun, and you kind of figure out what that would mean to you, or maybe what the feather sticking out of the top of his head would mean, or something small in the picture doesn't necessarily have to be the overall image, but what impression you get would give you an impression of what that is trying to tell you. And there are lots of different spreads to use and all kinds of stuff. Usually the easiest one is to pull 3, past, present, future, and go from there, or just one if you have a question and you just pull a card to get the answer. Palm reading is a very popular one as well. Runes are a relatively new one to me, but one of the most ancient forms of divination that there is. You can make your own set of runes, you can buy them. I made these from glass pieces that you get at like a dollar store and paint. And all of these different symbols represent different things. How you use them is, mine are all in a bag. You reach into the bag and you pull it out and then you set it down. And whether it's reversed or not depends on the meaning as well. Same thing with the tarot cards, which I forgot to mention. If you pull a card and it's upside down, that also gives you a different meaning than if it's the right direction. You can also read dice, plain old 6-sided dice. The Secrets of Gypsy Fortune Telling is one of my favorite books ever, and it has an entire section, actually just kind of opened up to it, with the different dice combinations and a list of questions in the front and what they mean. And so you could just toss your dice and look up exactly what that's supposed to represent. The next topic I want to talk about is crystal gazing or scrying. Now, I'm sure most people, at least from movies, know a crystal ball when they see one. And with scrying, it doesn't have to be a crystal ball. You can use, this is a black mirror made for scrying, and it's just a small black mirror. With both of those, how you do it is you set yourself up in a dimly lit room, usually with one light source behind you if you need light, and then you just soften your gaze, kind of like if you've ever done the magic eye books, where, like, at least for me, I always had to get them like right up on my nose and then pull them apart and kind of cross my eyes and then the picture would pop out. You kind of use a similar feeling in your eyes and your gaze in order to kind of just zone out and then you can start to see images or get impressions of things. You can also do this by looking in the clouds. People skywatch and see things in clouds. They can see things in water. Fire gazing or pyromancy is a very popular one. If you've ever been like at a bonfire or a camp out and you've just sat and gazed into the fire and let your mind trail off, that's a form of divination also. You guys all know this one. It can be used as a form of divination. It can just be used to use for spirit communication, but with divination, you can be communicating with spirits to get additional knowledge of the past, present, future. You could also be talking to your higher self, any guides or angels or anything that you think might be around you, or just, you know, knowledge that you have subconsciously. Any of those factors could be playing into your divination anyway, so of course you guys are already familiar with that one. Another way to use a spirit board is through a board like this, or one that you've made, that you use with a pendulum. Traditionally, a pendulum looks like a crystal point, and they're super popular right now in like jewelry, so a lot of you may even have them on necklaces and not even realize that it's a pendulum and you can use it in that way as well. You can also use anything. I have a rose quartz necklace that's on a broken chain, and that's what I use. How you use the pendulum is you just loop the top of it so that it won't move, and you hold your hand still, and depending on the direction it swings, it will already talk to you without a board. So you would ask the pendulum to show you what yes is and show you what no is. When you ask for yes, usually it'll either swing like forward, backward, or side to side, or it'll go in a circle either clockwise or counterclockwise. And then when you ask for no, same thing, and then that way you'll know what each of those individually means. If you have a board like this one, you can have it sitting on a table, obviously not held like this because you're not going to get accurate stuff from this, and you would hold this over it, ask a question, and then slowly pull this over all of the letters and see if it swings in a different direction over a certain letter. It's a little bit longer of a process to spell things out in that way, but a lot of people do prefer it. The first time that I ever used a talking board with a pendulum, it was this triangular board that my friend's family got at an Indian reservation. It was the most freaking amazing pendulum board in the world. Like, instead of it swinging when it was next to letters, it would straight up point at an angle at the letters. Like, hover out at the different letters. No idea how. It was just like a $20 all plastic and cardboard set. But it was awesome. Another way to do some divination out of this book, and that's a very common one, would be tea leaf reading. Tea leaf reading is where you drink tea, but the loose leaves are in the cup. You usually have a white inside of the cup, or just plain, and make sure that it doesn't have any like grooves to it. It's just very smooth on the inside. After you're done drinking it, you flip the cup over onto a napkin, let everything drain, and then you pull it up, and along the inside of the cup, you're going to see different like shapes and clumps and things. And you kind of use the same thing that you do with the scrying technique, where you just don't really look, but you look past it and get impressions. And then again, in this book, there's like a whole section about it, and there's palm reading. This book's just awesome. But you'll be able to kind of look up what different symbols traditionally mean, and same thing with dream interpretation or with the tarot. If you get an impression of what it means, go with that too, because sometimes your intuitive impressions are even more impactful. Bibliomancy, I have mentioned in a previous video, but that is where you open a book and just point or gaze at the first lines that you see and read it. It's often done with the Bible, hence the name, but you can do it with any book at all. Zoomancy is the art of divining through animals and their behaviors. If you're interested in signs that you get from nature or from animals, this book freaking rocks. It is animal speak, and you can look up pretty much any creature under the sun and find out what usually seeing them or their behaviors symbolizes and what the signs are that you're being given. The focal point of all forms of divination are psychic senses and your own intuition. So if you do decide that this is something you want to follow, follow your gut, follow your heart, and follow what you feel like you know. Oracles and seers have been used in so many different cultures and places and eras over the years for so many different reasons. There's tons of people in great positions of power who had their own oracles to let them know what steps they should take in their next battle or with their next decision for their country. So this is just a very popular, very common thing that over the years, people have become less and less reliant on, but it's still something that a lot of people have interest in, and especially being involved in like the paranormal and unknown, these all have kind of that vibe to them as well. I hope that you guys have enjoyed seeing some of my stuff that I have. I know I get asked quite often to go through my cabinet. I will probably do a video in the future about the meaning and representation and symbolism of some metaphysical things, because I do get requested that a lot, so I'll probably do that at some point also. But I just wanted to go over divination because I find it to be a very interesting topic. Aesthetically, I am very drawn to the way that these things look and appear and the feelings that I get from them. Have a wonderful rest of your day and just keep being awesome. I love you guys. Bye!